Harley Quinn Season 5 returned to our app screens again this week for its 4th episode entitled Breaking Brainiac. Now, I'm Kate Joel, and this is a video series where I give my thoughts and feelings on the episode that was, while also shouting out any Easter eggs or comic book references I can find. And oh man, let me tell you, this week's episode was really something, so let's not waste any more time, let's get right to it, shall we? So then, this brand new episode ends up shocking right out of the gate. For starters, it does not pick up where last week's left off, with Harley and Ivy being captured by Brainiac. Instead, we turn back the clock entirely, and what we are instead treated to is an entire episode-long origin story for Brainiac, complete with a brand new title screen and opening. As a longtime viewer, I was genuinely taken aback and surprised in the best way that the Harley show could just completely change gears like this and offer us something completely different with a whole new POV. In fact, I think the only time the series ever came close to doing something like this before was several seasons ago when we had an episode devoted entirely to Bruce Wayne. Breaking Brainiac, though, is a completely different beast entirely. For one, it's framed like a cheesy 80s sitcom. We're introduced to Vril Drox and his family, and yes, that is actually Brainiac's real name. I get the distinct feeling a lot of non-comic readers know that. He's got an important job. He's waiting for the big promotion. He's got a wife that he loves but has trouble satisfying, and a kid, Vril Drox too, who's going through those awkward teenage years that are just as awkward when you're an alien robot, and it seems that he doesn't quite respect his father anymore or what he does. Now, giving Brainiac a family might seem like an odd decision, but again, if you're a comic fan, this actually makes a lot of sense, as Brainiac has an incredibly complex family tree that spans history and worlds. Again, big thanks to Reddit for putting this one together for me. Check it out. Chances are, if you know any of Brainiac's progenies, you probably know the good Brainiac from the Legion of Superheroes, or if you've been paying attention recently, the brand new bride of Brainiac. Vril and his family also live on planet Kalu, which was the planet Brainiac was originally from in the golden age of DC Comics. Though because DC continuity is in a constant state of flux, sometimes Brainiac would also be a rogue Kryptonian creation. This was the case in Superman the Animated Series and even in the new My Adventures with Superman show. Now, as the episode begins, Vril is tasked by his boss, a Mr. Star, to go and steal a special ray gun with the amazing ability to shrink down matter. Oh geez, I wonder if that's going to be important later. Furthermore, Mr. Star is one hell of a deep cut, as Mr. Star also just so happens to be the name of an evil Kaluan politician that the Legion of Superheroes fought. Mr. Star and even Brainiac's own wife worry about this mission because there is a 1% chance for error. Vril ends up blowing off both their concerns because, I mean, really, how much is 1% at the end of the day? Also, a lot of the comedy in these scenes comes from making a bunch of hyper-intelligent robot jokes about acronyms. Again, when you break down what Vril Drox's job is, it spells out cigarettes. Yes, he regularly leaves for cigarettes. Will he come back like your dad this time or not? It's hard to say. Also, it's taken me this long and I can't believe I haven't mentioned Coco the monkey yet. You're probably thinking, oh, did they give him a funny animal sidekick just to really hit home the silly sitcom factor? No, actually. Not only is Coco the monkey from the comics, not only did he stick around way longer than you might have thought, but when Kevin Smith was writing The Death and Return of Superman, that Nicolas Cage Superman movie that never got made, Coco was actually in the script for that movie and played a very similar role to what he plays in the show. Again, basically just being a bunch of funny animal shenanigans. Now, before Vril Drox goes away on his next mission, he ends up getting into a fight with his son, who he believes is not living up to all of his amazing potential and that he is a failure. Though the son kinda ends up getting the last laugh in this situation, as he does impress his father by creating the very same jar tech that we will see Brainiac use in the future to help him capture worlds. And from here, I think if you've ever seen a movie before, you can basically tell what happens next. Brainiac's mission is a success. He ends up stealing the shrink ray, only to return home to Kalu much too late, as the entire planet has been destroyed and his family and friends are dead. Yeah, I wasn't expecting this, but they're actually trying to give Brainiac a sympathetic origin story. One wherein he will end up spending the rest of his life cursing that 1% of chaos, that 1% of unknowability, as the reason why his family and planet are dead. And why now he will spend the rest of his existence knowing no home, wandering the galaxy trying to bring order to the endless chaos. This also means too a good chunk of the latter part of the episode is just Brainiac talking to himself, and I mean, hey, if you went to the trouble of casting Stephen Fry, famous famous British writer, director, producer, actor, and narrator. Yeah, I can understand writing an entire episode around him just so you can hear him talk. He really does have one of those voices where, yeah, I would listen to him read the whole phone book. Brainiac's quest across the galaxy, too, also comes packing a lot of fun references and in-jokes for some of the planets he passes by. One is very clearly Tamaran, the planet that Starfire is from. And also, I didn't bring it up before, but this bears mentioning that Brainiac, the planet he got the shrink ray from, is actually the planet that Brainiac was most originally from back when he was organic, back in Superman number 167 from all the way back in 1964. So yeah, once again, you can't say the Harley writers haven't done a ton of homework to help them inform this episode. Eventually, Brainiac ends up finding his way to planet Krypton before its destruction. It's here he ends up perfecting his method for capturing parts of worlds that he deems to be close to perfect, yet still a little lacking. It's here he ends up stealing Kandor and bottling it. The bottle city of Kandor, of course, being one of the more famous pieces of Superman oeuvre. It also makes me wonder if we're going to see Supergirl show up at some point, maybe to try and get it back from him. All this bottling of civilizations, though, did very little to actually bring Brainiac any sense of solace. He still very much missed his family, and at a point, even the new task in which he gave himself just became all too easy. That is, of course, until he found his way to Earth, one of the most uncivilized, unrefined, and underdeveloped civilizations in all of space. And honestly, you know what, man? Kinda have to agree with ya. Brainiac would set his eyes on Metropolis, the most advanced of an unadvanced civilization, and he probably would have completed his plans too were it not for the arrival of Harley Quinn. A woman who, as I pointed out several videos ago, would naturally make a creature like Brainiac's skin crawl. She is the embodiment of chaos. Raw and unpredictable, even when she's been taken captive, she ends up throwing all sorts of insults right Brainiac's way. Also, if you're wondering what the timeline of events on all of this stuff is, Harley eventually does point out that Coco the monkey has been dead for a while, meaning that whatever plot it is Brainiac has been working on here, he's been working on it for a while. Now, what stops Brainiac from just simply killing Harley Quinn and getting on with his work of bringing perfection to Metropolis? Well, it's actually his partner in crime, Lena Luthor, who gets him to stay his hand. Yeah, that's right, everyone. Lena Luthor is secretly a bad guy, in a move that will shock basically no one. The Luthors, of course, in the comics having a very long and storied history with Brainiac, and in this show version of events, Lena's even the one who gives Vrildrox the name Brainiac. Why does she want Harley spared? Well, on one level she likes her, on another, part of the deal she struck with Brainiac is that she would deal with the humans, and in the end they would all get what they wanted. This again also confirms my suspicion from several videos ago when I said it looked like Lena was only just giving Harley busy work to try and distract her from what she was actually doing with Ivy. In the end, both Harley and Ivy have their short-term memories erased in a very fun scene wherein we see Brainiac quite literally turn the episode back to the end of last week. Lena also checks in on the two women to make sure that the brain wipe worked. And while on the surface it seems that Harley and Ivy are none the wiser, as the episode comes to an end, we see that Harley actually made an effigy of Brainiac in her food, implying that maybe the memories aren't all gone. And so that was Breakin' Brainiac, everyone. A very different type of episode than we're used to in the Harley show. I get the distinct feeling this episode is going to be divisive, because on one hand it's not exactly laugh out loud funny like we're used to from the Harley series, but it's definitely fascinating, engrossing, and very watchable. Stephen Fry, as always, is a joy, and you can't say they didn't get their money's worth out of him in this episode. Also, I said it in other videos, but it bears repeating, setting up Brainiac as this ultimate agent of rigid order against Harley and her brand of chaos really just kinda writes itself, and they do a good job putting Brainiac over as this very strong, very powerful force unlike anything Harley or Ivy have had to deal with. I don't know how I personally feel about trying to paint Brainiac as a sympathetic character, or at least to give him a sad origin story where in the books he never really had that. He was just kind of a jerk who wanted to know everything and didn't care about who he hurt in his cold, inhuman quest for knowledge. I mean, clearly the show's writers are very proud of this new origin story, because if not, why would they devote basically an entire episode to telling it? For a second there, it actually looked like Brainiac saw something of his wife in Harley, and I have to wonder if we'll see therapist Harley come back again by the end of this. Even if I thought the jokes weren't always there, there's no denying that this is easily the most creative episode the Harley show video has done in a very long time. So that'll just about do it for me, everyone. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to check me out on all the different social medias. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Threads, I'm on Blue Sky. And if you follow me there, you'll always know when a new Harley video is about to drop. Be sure to share a comment. It really helps me in this crazy YouTube algorithm thing, and I, Cape Joel, will be back again next week. Until then, bye-bye.